welcome to FS Uncut. We'll be discussing different football issues. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys again for joining us with FS Uncut. We're joined here by my co-host, a former professional footballer and a current pro agent with over 15 years experience in the game. He's the agent of some of your favorite footballers. So, you know, it's a pleasure to have you with us. And we're also joined by FS members, Daniel and Michael. So thank you for joining us, guys.
How we doing, fellas? You all right?
All good, man. All good.
All good.
Feeling good, man. How you guys doing?
Excellent,
Too bad.
excellent.
So
Not
you got a
bad.
trim.
Just,
Okay, you got a trim. All right.
to be fair, we're not doing as good as you look right now. You know what I'm saying, Mike? But yeah, you're doing all right. We're doing good. We're doing good.
So after, 2-3 months, it seems that this coming week, we're finally back to our Premier League schedule. How are you guys feeling about that? We'll start with Mike.
Yeah, I'm feeling fantastic, man. It's about time we got some Premier League football back. Obviously, Germany got the leap in front of us. There's Spain recently and Italy. So to get our football coming back as well is a blessing, man. And the first game is going to be what I expect to be an absolute hammering. We're going to get there, I know, but you know, it's loaded. It's loading, you know. So I'm excited, man. It's good to have the football back in our country.
What about yourself, Dan?
I'm absolutely delighted. Liverpool can finally win the league. There'll be no asterisks involved after 30 years. I'm absolutely delighted. I can't even hide it.
So Dan, I take you're a Liverpool supporter then.
I am.
Okay.
Eddie, what do you think then after so long?
No, I think it's highly anticipated by many, myself included, and I'm sure you guys and you know the fellas before me have said it's something as us football fiends, if you like, you know, we need it to survive. So from purely a selfish standpoint, I'm glad to have the football back. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. So it'll be interesting to see how players react, players come back, obviously from such a unprecedented layoff, and to see how their bodies react and how quick they pick up the pace as to where they left off before. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting as well. So especially with empty stadiums and stuff like that. So yeah, it'll be really, really interesting to see. But I know from my understanding and from my experiences, I don't think the English boys will be too bothered from that, if you know what I mean, because the English boys, they've come through the youth system where they've played, you know, literally with nobody, and they've gone through the under-23 system, which is, you know, from my time, which is called a reserve team football, which you only had like one man and his dog there. So, you know, I don't think it's going to really affect the English boys too much, but I think it'll be more difficult or a little bit more of an adjustment for the foreign boys to kind of get to grips with the whole situation. So, yeah, it'll be interesting.
I was thinking that obviously with them playing every single, pretty much they play throughout the year from club to international. This is probably Mane was saying how this is the first time in 6-7 years where he's actually had some sort of a break. So do you think that eventually they'll be sharper and better than they were before because of the break that they've had, or you don't think it will have that big of an effect?
No, I think every football needs a break. You know what I mean? I think you can't run any sort of athlete or any high performance vehicle without it needing a rest, or, you know, in the case of a Ferrari, you can't drive a Ferrari without you stopping from time to time to fill up with petrol, you know? So I think with any footballer you need that, but there's also that human standpoint in which kicks into it, is that they need timing, they need rhythm, they need pace of a game, and I think that's what's going to be lacking. You know, you might find some players that will just instantly be able to pick up from where they left off, but some players would need, you know, maybe 3 or 4 games to get their eye in, if you like, and to get their passing and their timing right and their runs right, and to get a feel of the ball. Because you could train as much as you want, but there's a thing we call in the game as match fitness, you know. Match fitness is something that only comes from exactly that, through playing matches. So, and we all know that, you know, when players go to training, they're playing training games, etc., etc. You know, they're probably playing about 50% of their maximum. you know, because they know they have to
Not the
preserve their
real deal.
body
Yeah.
for the weekend's game or the midweek fixture. So they're never going to play 100%. So, like I said, it's going to take them a few games to kind of get back into their stride and to maybe pick up as to where they left off. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a massive, massive factor. So, you know, some players might, you know, I know a lot of clubs has kind of been doing a lot of simulation and playing a lot of reserve team football, or maybe, you know, as we've seen of late, you know, different clubs coming in and playing first team matches. But I think it'll be one that, you know, would have a massive, massive impact on the shape of how things will play. I don't think it'll bother the likes of your Liverpools or your Man Cities too much.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, the bottom three certainly, you know, because that's all based on confidence. And we all know football is all about confidence going into games. And, you know, so I think that's going to have a massive, massive factor in it. But it'll be exciting. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see how the players react to coming back over. Because like you said, Mane hasn't had this period of time off from football. And I don't think any player has had this period of time off from football unless if you've been injured. But when you are, you're still going into training. So it'll be interesting to see how the players react.
And Daniel, what's your opinion on the fact that even though, you know, the pandemic is still COVID-19, it's not something that has been completely eradicated, but we're still, you know, back to playing football. What do you think about that?
I have two opinions. For the Premier League, I'm completely fine with it because the players are probably in the safest environments in the whole country in terms of testing and all the protocols that they're following. That can be seen with the amount of positive tests that we've had. However, in the Championship, I'm not too sure because they don't have the same luxuries as the Prem teams do. So they might be in more of a danger than the Premier League teams. The tests might not be as accurate as the Premier League team. So for the Prem, I'm happy with it. But for the Championship, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
What about you, Mike, in terms of comment? Being a Man United fan, you're upset.
There's nothing about United that can upset me anymore. I've been through it all, man. There's nothing more upsetting than losing the greatest and then getting David's other guy. So I've been through it. But in terms of getting football back, like Daniel said, they're in the safest environment right now. The tests they're doing weekly, making sure the players are in isolated spaces. The science that's gone behind it, everything seems well planned, well thought out, which is something we don't really we don't really see, from the FA or the Premier League much. So, and for such a serious situation, you need to be on your game every time. So, knowing that, I now feel very comfortable with the idea of these guys coming back and playing football on a weekly basis. So, yeah.
And what about you, Eddie? In terms of from the player's standpoint, you know, we had Danny Rose and Troy Deeney not being happy to kind of go back. Have you had any complaints from your players that, you know what, that why have they got us back playing and I don't want to be involved?
No, I think you know, the rhetoric has been since, you know, people have started to go back to football, and I think, you know, is affected more black players, and there's been a maybe of a trend, or, you know, it's been put out there for public knowledge that, you know, this COVID seems to affect players or black players more so than their white counterparts. So I think, again, that would kind of play, and I know for sure that plays heavily in a lot of players' minds, you know. And I think it's something that, you know, a player would have to take very, very seriously, because these guys are all young people. They're all young men, should I say, sorry. And, you know, they all have young families, and, you know, they don't really want to have that responsibility or knowing that they've brought such a illness into their family domain. So I can totally understand it. And I think even from a health and safety standpoint, you know, you've got to look after your health. But I think going back to what Daniel said was that, you know, the Premier League is probably one of the most safest environments to be in, you know, because of the regular and strenuous testing that they're doing on a daily basis for their players, and making sure that they are in the safest of environments. And I think if you look at that, that should kind of give you, and I've said to players only in the last 24 hours, that should kind of give you a little bit more confidence in terms of going back to work. But at the same time, it is football. You are going to sweat. You are going to spit. You are going to be doing slide tackles. You are going to be in contact because that's just the nature of the game. And so from that standpoint, I could actually understand if somebody is feeling a little bit nervous or, to go back. But I think, they are in a really safe environment, and they will probably be, if there was anywhere in the world to be, it'll probably be in the Premier League club because, you're going to get that regular testing and you're going to get that support you need.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, obviously, there's that moral aspect where people are still dying while we playing, but for me, they are in a unique position. Like, again, you and Dan and Michael said that they're being protected and they're being tested on a regular basis, and it's even as much as people don't want to accept it, I still feel like it'll be a good boost for the country. A lot of men and a lot of women spend a lot of time using that as almost a getaway and to just, entertainment. That's what it is.
For sure. I totally agree with you with that one. And I think it's something that I think the country needs, the nation needs, and, it will bring that feel-good factor to people again. You could imagine the banter again, between us and many other people about the team winning, the team losing, or the draw that happened, the goal that should have been, or goal that wasn't, or the offside that was or wasn't. So it will bring that kind of conversation back again, that joy back again. But again, you look at it from, someone like Troy Deeney's standpoint, it's work for him. So he needs to make sure he goes to work in the most safest environment, especially having a young baby. So regardless of the joy that it will bring to us, he's seeing it as he has to protect his family as well. So I totally understand where Troy and Danny Rose is coming from. And I don't think a player should be made to feel guilty or made to feel, that he has to play or forced to play, because I think this is a choice. And I think, from the club standpoint, and I know I've had conversations, guys, with high-profile lawyers, sports lawyers, and, the last thing a club wants is for a player to go in and go and contract the virus and ends up, God forbid, it becomes a serious issue. Then after that, you have a corporate manslaughter in your hands. So that is something that, with all that said and done, we have to take this into a serious account. And I know for me personally, I've had several conversations with, like I said, with high-profile lawyers and sports lawyers that I'm taking advice from, and we are speaking about these situations and all aspects to do with it, because, it is real, it is a serious thing. And I know football is an escape, and it does take us away from the reality, if you like. But at the same time, we are being brought back down to earth with the fact that there is a pandemic going on. We are in the middle of it, and we have to bring some sort of respect to that. And, players are no different. I know players are seen as these kind of superheroes or these Marvel characters that, are Teflon and that. But when it's all said and done, they're human beings. So they also have a debt of responsibilities to their family. So, it's not going to be easy for anyone to make that choice.
Yeah, and the past, talking about, being in the middle of the pandemic, the past few weeks and months as a young black man has been very tough, seeing everything that's going on. And it seems as if we've got to a stage where everyone's like, enough is enough, with what happened with George Floyd, rest in peace, and so many other people. And the football, the FA, the Premier League have decided to take a stand by, getting their players to obviously post on their Instagrams, to raise awareness, to kneel. And now when the Premier League starts, they plan to have Black Lives Matter at the back of their shirt. So I'll start with Michael. Do you see it as performative? Do you think the Premier League, the FA has to do a lot more than just, showing us a few banners here and there and a few hashtags?
Oh yeah, I mean, they can always try and do more. This is a start anyway. I think when I can't remember what year it was, maybe 2004, when they used to have the players when they were training wearing the black and white logo that was like no racism in sports, something like that.
The kick it out logo.
Yeah, not the kick out logo, but they also had another one. I remember, I always remember Henri wearing it when they were training. But you've had that, had to kick it out, and now you've got this. This is a big cause. Of course, that's been needed for a long time. that's now being pushed very strongly, and it's been needed. It's exposing so many things within not only sport but in other industries and society in general. So yeah, for the Premier League to do that, it's a start. Obviously, we need a lot more action. We've had people like Sterling in the last couple of years speaking out thoroughly, trying to inform people, trying to change a bit of the culture, and that's what you want. Sometimes you want your players to do that, but the league has to do something also. So it's a start, but it's not going to last forever. So the question is, after you've done that with the shirts, what's next?
Sure.
Don't put down the shirts and then say, oh well, okay, we've done that for the rest of the season. Next season you're gonna have your names back on the shirt, but what we did to push on with this, this cause. So I commend them for starting this. I hope they continue to try and add more to it. I don't want to see them do that and then say, okay, we've done our part. That's nothing compared to what else you can do, in my opinion.
What about yourself, Daniel? For me, it does seem a bit, here we go again, another hashtag, another image, another thing to do. But I do understand that, especially in football and with football culture, we do need to raise awareness that Black lives do actually matter, and we need people to understand. So what do you think, Daniel?
At first, I thought it was a bit performative because it was like when at the start of the season, when a couple of players, Tammy Abraham, Rashford, Pogba, got racially abused for missing penalties. That was the hot topic then. Then a couple of weeks after, they stopped talking about it. Then Rudiger gets racially abused. They talk about it. So I thought it was a bit performative, but then I did a bit of research and I've seen that Troy Deeney and Wes Morgan were one of the captains that were pushing the agenda. Troy Deeney's girlfriend even got involved to design the logo for the shirts. So maybe this might be a change, but I think we'll only see that next season because, like Mike said, it can't just be something for the rest of the season. The next season, we forget about it because racism is still an issue in football and in the UK society.
What about yourself, Eddie? From your point of view, do you think, the laws in the game battling racism is nonsense and they're just doing this to kind of keep us quiet, or is it a start for you?
No, I think if I can be honest, and I would always try and be honest from my perspective and from my opinion, is that I think racism is still alive. We just be concealing it, And I think we look at that, and I say that from a standpoint that this is not something that is new news, unfortunately. This is not new news. And like Daniel said, we don't want it to be a situation where it's a hot topic for now because there's no football. There's a hot topic for now because, we've been starved of football and there's not been any sport or anything for TV. I think this is something that we need to make sure that the campaign lasts for as long as time. Because that's the only way we're going to really see any change about it. And I just feel that we need to have these open and frank discussions, and we need to basically get our point across as Black and brown people or people of the ethnic minority, and to have these kind of conversations, because I don't think it's about how we feel, and I say that respectively. I think it's about how the powers that be, the white counterparts and the white guys in the executive and the boardrooms, how they view us, because we know how we are. We know what we can do. But these guys that are in decision-making positions, it's almost like they're afraid to give us an opportunity, And I'd just like to elaborate on that, because you look at someone like Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard, two top, unbelievable players, whether they're black, white, pink or blue, top player, whether you support Chelsea, Liverpool, whatever, you can never deny that they are top players. But my question is, they've gone from finishing playing straight to top jobs in football. One went from Derby County, which I'll have is a massive club. To Chelsea within 2.5 years. And one's gone from Liverpool to Glasgow Rangers, which is also another massive club. I have Celtic friends that will probably, and family that will dispute that, but that's another conversation. But you see what I'm saying, guys?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's something that is very, very serious because, you know, why is it that these guys are getting in front of players, other black players before them that I know that have tried to get themselves into that position? You know, why is it that Sol Campbell, who has had arguably and has been arguably one of the best centre backs this country has seen and had, why is he had to go to Macclesfield Town, then to Southend to get the opportunity? Now, the question should be, could you ever see Frank Lampard or Steven Gerrard at Macclesfield Town?
Nah.
You can't even put that sentence together.
And
Yeah.
the
Sounds weird.
The crazy thing about that is, like, when you say these things to people, they automatically think that you're saying, "Oh, you must give the Sol Campbells and that the top jobs." We're saying, no, it's not
No,
that.
we're not saying that. What we're saying is let's have an equal playing field.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not wrong starting the lower leagues. If Gerrard and Lampard earned their stripes at Dagenham and Redbridge, for example, it's fine, you know.
Yeah.
But
Then this conversation never happens, right?
Exactly. One is managing the second biggest club in Scotland. Straight away.
Straight away.
So do you think the FA are basically, with the whole hashtags and the t-shirts, they're just almost trying to get us to
It's quite an interesting thing that you say, because it's almost a case if you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, right?
Yeah.
From the FA's perspective.
Yeah.
But I just want to kind of elaborate on that a little bit more, because yes, they have a moral issue and a moral compass to do something about it, because they are one of the governing bodies of the football. Okay. And they have to be seen to be doing the right thing. But like Daniel said, I do not just want them to play a lip service to this issue. I don't want it to be, today we're talking about it, next week is fish and chip paper.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? There has to be some sort of structure, some sort of information, some sort of education, tool, background, continuous information that would allow this movement to be relevant. Because as a father of a young boy that's in the system, it scares me to actually think that when he's 20, 21, 22, he may be faced with the same situation.
Yeah.
And that is actually crazy, because this has been going on since I was his age, you know, and I've experienced this. And he is more than likely going to experience the same thing if we don't do something about it. And I think the FA and all the other governing bodies has a duty of care to make sure that we stamp out this illness called racism, because when it's all said and done, yes, it's uncomfortable, but the reality is it's there. And until we address it, and until we confront it, and until we speak on it, nothing's going to happen. Nothing right now, you know. I think we're in the best possible position, and unfortunately, it's taken something like a George Floyd incident to kind of make, I won't say myself, but to make my white counterparts look at themselves and say, wow, are we really that far away from being equal? And I think that's that mirror moment, that watershed moment, that realization that, okay, well, you know, when you talk about these things in your workplace while you're playing the black card, oh, is he being aggressive? Oh, this is actually what happens. You know, we are actually going through this. So it's something that I would love to see as a part of the game. And I think it's something that I would love to see education being done from youth team football, from right the way up to first team football, because if we don't have that continuity and we don't have that consistency in terms of the messaging that we're giving out to these young players, and also in school, you know, it starts from school as well. School is more important than I think than football. It has to be spoken about, because school is where you go to learn and, you know, to understand the way of the world. And if you go to school thinking that the world is only one way, you know, you think it's a flat world, and all of a sudden you get to school and it's round, you're going to be really, really despondent to the education that you took for the last 10, 15 years. So for me, it's about making sure these young people understand that from an early stage, and understand is wrong, and understand that, you know, blacks and white, brown, pink or blue people are all equal, and they all should be treated the same. So until we understand that, and until we get a formula for that, and until the FA and the power and the governing bodies and the powers that be understand that, you know, this, you know, it can't just be for Christmas. It's got to be for life. You know,
Yeah.
it's not just something we pick up now because it's a cool thing.
Yeah.
It's a fad. It's something that we want to do, and it's something that we want to look a part of. It's a hashtag. Our life and our experience is bigger than a hashtag.
Agree.
You know, it's something that is real life. It's powerful, and it stops us from progressing. It stops us from being who we want to be. And I know some people may listen to this and say, well, you know, you can be whatever you want to be. Of course you can. And I'm a massive advocate of that. And I'm kind of an example of that. But at the same time, if that person that's in that hot seat that determines whether you are going to be able to go to that next level, don't like you, or has a tendency to sway with somebody from the opposite race, what chance have you got? It's almost like the Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule for me is the biggest nonsense I've ever seen. You know, you have to give somebody an interview. Why? Because you're ticking a box.
Yeah.
That interview you go and sit in, that chairman already knows, that sporting director already knows
who
he's picking.
Yeah.
He's only doing it so he can never be looked upon and said, well, at least I gave Joe Bloggs a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giving somebody a chance ain't getting in front of him. Giving somebody a chance is actually giving them that chance.
Trust
like
them.
your Steven Gerrards, like your Frank Lampards, like these types of players to say, you know what, have a go at this level. Let's see what you can do at this level. But don't just sit me down and humour me with no potential or no pathway to get into that first team position, or no opportunity to be a director of football, no opportunity to be the head of marketing, no opportunity to be the first team manager. Then what's the point? You know, it's almost like a false promise. And I think this Rooney Rule has been out for a long, long time now. And we only have to have a look and see
what difference,
what black representation or brown representation is actually in football right now. So for me, the Rooney Rule, I feel very, very passionate about it. And I just feel is a massive, massive box-ticking exercise, because I can tell you right now, fellas, a chairman knows exactly who he's going to have as manager way before any interviews is conducted. Yeah. That's why when you see on TV, the manager leaves on Saturday afternoon, by Monday, latest Wednesday, there's 2 or 3 managers that's waiting to take his position.
Do interviews even happen anymore? Because like you said, I can't imagine interviews happening in the space of 3-4 days. So it's as if chairman just bypassed that whole stage.
Dan, I think you've answered your own question.
Yeah.
I think you've answered your own question, because you're going to go and be put in a hot seat for a job at Manchester United, Liverpool, or Chelsea. You're trying to tell me a position like that is negotiated within 2-3 days. I can tell you that's nonsense.
Yeah.
You know, so therefore it goes back to what I was saying earlier. A chairman knows he has a phone and he has his representatives and he has people working for him saying, you know what, I'm interested in this manager because that manager fits my profile. You know, that manager has that image and a reflection of what I want as my club and someone that I want to lead my club. And unfortunately, and it's not just me saying it as a bitter black man, it's me saying it as someone that knows football, that's been in football, that understands football, to know that with the level of quality that we have brought to the game, how can it be one black sporting director, Celeste Ferdinand, and one prominent black, one's out of work, so one black manager right now, Sol Campbell, and the only one I ever know that even hit the heights that maybe it could have, and I honestly do believe it could be even higher with Chris Hughton.
Yeah, Chris Hughton,
He's got every single badge. He's worked from the ground up. So why is this fella still out of work? But yet Nigel Pearson can go and jump in front of him and get a job at Watford. And he hasn't been managing for 3 or 4 years. How's that possible?
Yeah.
We have to have these open and frank conversations. But the reason why Nigel Pearson got the job, from my humble opinion, is because he fitted the rhetoric and the profile of what the chairman and the board of directors was looking for. Chris Hughton, unfortunately, was never going to fit that profile. So therefore, when you go back and they tell you, well, you might need this qualification, you might need that qualification, you go out there and you go and do it. And you come back and say, well, by the way, Mr. Chairman, I got this. Well, you need that. Okay, I've got this. But you need that.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how disheartening that is?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you're sitting at home or you're on a course to pick your head up and see that a manager's got the job who doesn't even have the qualifications you've got.
You have, yeah. Yeah, I think as you know, you've summed it up well, that you can do all the hashtags and all the nice exercise and all the good PR that that you can, but after how many years, even after over 20 years of the Premier League, and we've had some of the best players be black.
Who we
Right?
had? Paul Ince.
Yeah, you've had
Paul
some of the
Ince
best
since
players be
Blackburn.
black. So how
What's
can
Paul
they
Ince
not?
done since Blackburn?
How can they not transfer that to managerial skills, but their white counterparts are doing that? So the FA, the governing bodies definitely need to, and that's what these conversations are good, because no one is out there telling them that this is what it is. Do you get what I mean?
You know, and I'm sitting there as an agent, guys. You got to remember,
Yeah.
I'm sitting as an agent. I'm the same guy that's got to go and call a chairman and say to a chairman, by the way, I've got this player. Are you interested in signing him? So my livelihood is also at risk by being this open and this frank.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I said earlier, I'm a father first of two. I have to make sure that when my kids ask me, Dad, did you do anything to help support this movement? I've got to be able to look at them and say, I've done my bit.
Yeah.
I've done everything in my power to do so.
Yeah.
And for me, is it about working again? Is it about not working again? I like to think that we are past the stage where we can have an opinion and it can cost us our livelihood. But am I that naive to think it won't happen? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have to have our say, because if not,
it will keep
happening. This is going to go on forever. And there's not going to be another editor to go and pick up that mantle, because I could be the fool guy. I could pick up the phone tomorrow and the chairman's seen this interview and he's gone, no, I don't want to work with you. I'm bringing you Ronaldo and Messi and Neymar and Mbappe. But because of what we're discussing and my views on it, he's probably taken offense to it.
Yeah.
So therefore he feels I may be trouble. But really what I'm trying to do is address the issues that these guys are hiding from or that they talk about within their circles. You see?
Yeah. No, thank you so much. Like this has been very insightful, and discussing it with you from our point of view as football fans, as young black men in the community, and you discussing it as someone who's been in the game for so long, Michael and Dan, sharing your opinion on what can be done. And I'm sure we'll have the platform to talk more and more about solutions, because I think that's what we need to start discussing more. What do we want to see? What do we want you to do? And that's something that we'll definitely
listen. Errol, so to cut across you, solutions start from the embryonic stage.
Yeah.
You spoke about solutions. What can we do? Solution starts from the embryonic stage. I don't believe, and I know for sure, no person, no child, no man, no woman is ever born racist.
Yeah.
It's a learnt behavior. So therefore, it has to go back to where we learn, which is school, which is nursery, which is college, which is secondary school. These types of environments is where we need to start pushing this information. Yeah. So if you do grow up in a household that has them tendencies, which has been passed down from generations, you are now able to understand with education that idea or that way of thinking that my granddad had and his dad before him had is no longer relevant, is not right.
Yeah.
Because they was told something that wasn't right and they've grown up with it. And that's what racism is. Yeah. Racism is actually fearing another person because of who they are, and is also used to control. So therefore, no kid is ever racist. That's why when you go to nursery, you see black kids mixing with white kids, because they don't understand that you are different from anybody else. They are different from anybody else, whether they're white, black, pink, or blue. Mm-hmm. But what they do understand is love, and they understand that that's my friend. It's only when that kid goes home, they're being taught,
don't like this, don't like that.
Don't like this person, don't like that person. This is what we do. We don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a learnt behavior. So it goes back from school. It goes back from nursery. It goes back from your first book you pick up. It goes back from the topics you would take in your GCSEs, your college, whatever sort of educational bodies you will go and attend to. That's where you need to start first, because that is the people that is then put out into society to shape the views and what people see and what people think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for your opinion. I'm so excited to carry on and keep going and getting everyone's opinion and getting Eddie's opinion on how we can solve this. And I know for sure that, like you said, the more we speak about it, the more they'll understand what needs to be done. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me today.
Thank you.
Looking forward to
Worries.
getting this out there and speaking more and more about this topic that needs to be eradicated. So thank you.